Hello, my friend. This is Heather. Welcome to another episode of the Back to Me podcast. And this week, I am talking with Karina Pacific, and she had a very challenging childhood, and she's written a book about it. But through all of that, what she has done is to choose magic. So have a listen and let me know what you think. And my friends, I hope you have an excellent day. Take care. Hello, my friends. I hope you're having a fabulous day. The weather's getting warmer and summer is coming, and I'm so excited. And I want to invite you to come and join me in my latest free masterclass. And I do these every month. This was something new and exciting, and I'm just really excited to present this to you. And it's called Are You Ready to Step into Your Best Life? So, are you ready to step into your best life? This is the question. And you might think, well, I don't know if I want to be happy or if I want to be healthy or if I want to feel better. And if you're not ready, that's okay. That's okay. But if you are ready, scroll down into the show notes and you will see a link to the upcoming masterclass. It's going to be on June the 28th. And I hope to see you there. And I hope you have a fabulous day, my friend. Take care. See you soon. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friend. How are you? I hope you're having an excellent day. This is Heather. This is another episode of the Back to Me podcast. And we're talking to another amazing human being this week. And this week's awesome human being is Karina Pacific. And welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
It's been a long time coming.
I know. It took us a while to get ourselves organized. And your motto in life is choosing magic.
Yes.
That's so outstanding. Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, where this came from for you? Like, where did this choosing magic come from?
Oh, the short or the long story.
You get to choose.
Well, I think my favorite word is choosing. One of my favorite words. The other favorite word is good. Anything that comes out of goodness is good. But we all have the power to choose whether we choose good, bad. We're still our choice. So I found that through a lot of my childhood and trauma and other things that I've overcome, that I always had a easy inclination to choose the magical part of life, the good, the light, the fun, the curiosity. I definitely have gotten down on my knees, cried and prayed and been, defeated. But for some reason, I was always inclined to, it's more fun to look at the magical start of people, of life, of things, of the environment. So I just that's kind of, choosing the magic in life.
And it's so interesting that even as a little kid, you maybe it was just your personality or something that you chose the good side of, because I know a little bit about what your background was.
Yeah.
And that's in your book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's the book called again?
Choosing Magic.
Choosing Magic. Ta-da! And I think about it because there's so many people who will tell you they don't have a choice. And do you think that's because they just don't recognize it, haven't been taught it? Like, how did you, and maybe you don't know, maybe it was just who you were. How do you think you discovered that you could actually make those choices?
I think it just it comes in different forms. depending on where we're at in life, right? We have different challenges with in different environments with different people all the time. So sometimes we have to choose, um, even the timing of when to choose that thing, that decision. But I think when I was little, I pretty much just raised myself, and I was alone a lot. So I didn't have any form of that childhood every child deserves, and was pretty much parentless. So I roamed around in my young life being curious, and curiosity made me sort of explore and always sort of walk and lean towards the fun part of stuff, because my childhood was so sad and pathetic. It was just, I mean, just, it was just that. So the alternative was fun and exploration and curiosity, the magical, the lightness and colors and what have you. So I just leaned that way in my own way, because the opposite was just boring. And the
Right.
child, so I think if and I'm still exploring it, just a new phase of my life where, if we get back to curiosity, choosing the light, choosing the fun, the good, wherever we're at, we see a little glimpse of hope. We see that
Right.
little glimpse of, boy, there is a choice, there is the possibility, there is another way.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if in some ways, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on a little kid not to be left alone like that, but because you didn't have people telling you you couldn't do
Mm-hmm.
things, right?
You're 100% right, and you hit it on the nail. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So interesting. I mean, you didn't have that conditioning.
Yeah. No, so I could do anything. I could just explore. Sometimes I put myself in kind of dangerous situations. Like one day I was, I think, like 7, and I left my auntie's house. I was walking around the neighborhood, and I kept on going to the next street and kept on like, oh, that street looks really cool. And look at these pretty houses over here. And all of a sudden I'm in front of a railroad track, and I'm about to like, it's about to cross. And I was just running, having fun. And I just kind of went, oh, I better stop here. And
Whoops.
that's part of like when you kind of explore and you just kind of, just look around and just be in your space, you get sidetracked, but your intuition still kicks in, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know, because yeah, so that's what I'm getting now. I just turned 50, and I just newly divorced after 21 years of marriage. And it's probably I haven't, it's been hard. Last year was like a ball breaker, on my knees, crying, sobbing, hard as we all go through as women.
Yeah.
I had to tap into that magical part of it, like not feeling, um, not getting too comfortable with helplessness in change of life.
Right. And I mean, there's always there's always things happening. There's always challenges, but we do have those times in our lives that are just way bigger than others,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Where there's so much going on, and especially if we're the people who are always doing everything. Like how did you make sure that you took that time for yourself? I mean, I think you just do it naturally, but how do you make sure that you choose your magic? Like, are there times when you have to stop yourself and say, hold on? Do you have something that presses the pause button for you?
When I guess, say that again, or ask me that again.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about when you are in those situations where you realize that you are getting into the not happy
Yeah,
situations. How do you bring like, is there a specific trigger that you use, or you just naturally go, hold on, I need to
yeah.
pull myself out of that?
I think
Like,
I understand. So I think when, for instance, this last year, or even raising, I have a 21-year-old daughter, and like, raising kids is tough, right? And
hmm,
married is tough, and all those times that we something happens that is very challenging. We start questioning. I start questioning myself, either mother, wife, now ex-wife, or friend, or professional, and you get down. Particularly for me, in reference last year, like it was dark. It was a lot of just surrendering. I don't escape from feelings. And I honor the space. I kind of, okay, I got to feel this. I got to feel it. And I got to just sort of sink in it and see what comes out of it. Um, Maybe a day or two, maybe three. But after that, I get tired of myself. I get, I get tired of that pity party, but I do it to just feel the feelings. So then to get them out of, I think it's important to get them out of our system because our body keeps the score. There's a book actually called The Body Keeps the Score. Like we need to get it out of our system so it doesn't become some kind of disease, it doesn't become
Right.
some kind of discomfort in our body. So feel it, surrender it, get down, cry it, scream it, and move it. I'm a big believer in moving the body. I work out, I do yoga, I'll do hiking, like find out what your body needs to get it out. And then that's kind of like when you start seeing the movement, your body starts moving, you breathe fresh air, you touch earth, the ground. And that's kind of when I see the magic, I always see it and I always feel it. And I always know it's going to be there, but you have to feel the feels.
Right. It's true. I was talking to, I believe it was last week's guest. We were talking about having to let the emotion, like not labeling emotions as bad or good. You need it, you need to process it, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to stay there.
No, yeah.
Right. And that's where I think a lot of people they get stuck in it, they stay in it. And I was trying to think of like ways to give people ways to like recognize that when you're there. The first thing is you have to recognize you're there
Yeah.
and then decide you don't want to be there. And then you actually have to do something about it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
There's a saying, and I've told friends like when they're going through their stuff, just don't make friends with that feeling. Don't like make that your best friend and your identity. Like just, you know, feel it out. Maybe, just don't stick or don't make it, don't feed it too
Keep
much.
it as an acquaintance.
Yes. Yeah. And
The and your book, so your book Choosing Magic is about your personal journey.
so it's a story about a fatherless girl with a broken heart who changed her story. So fatherless, being really essentially parentless, and sexually abused through a young age, and just raising herself and not having been modeled good parenting or a good couples around me with good marriage and stuff, or I didn't really have, I still don't have a healthy relationship with my mother. We were just sort of more acquaintances than we are, relatives. So how it changed the story in I put in the book a lot of the tools that I used that I kind of found for myself to help me change the story. So it's about just the ability that we have to change our story. So with a lot of pain and trials, ups and downs, or what have you, I managed to have a 21-year-old marriage. I don't look at it as a failure. I actually think it's quite, 21 years is a long time.
That
And
is a long time.
I gave it a go, and I'm very confident in what I gave it and what I was able to provide my ex-husband, which was not example to me. And we were able to raise an amazing human being. She's a baller, superstar, and who would have known somebody that wasn't parented could kind of, contribute to the world by raising a good kid that way. But we can't.
Right.
We can do big things.
Well, I think sometimes because I used to work in corporate and I know some of my worst bosses made me a really good boss
Yeah,
when I was a boss
yeah,
because I
right.
knew exactly what I didn't want to have.
Exactly. No, like even teachers or some of the worst teachers, the meanest teachers, taught me the most. Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And it's being open to, I mean, we label them as bad and good and all of these things, but open to whatever lesson that particular person is bringing you, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, there is a saying. Who said this? I just said it on my Instagram that things don't happen to us; they happen for us.
Right.
And if everything really happens for us, particularly the hardest, most trying times.
We might not know till way later, but
Yeah, yeah. But I think the older we get, and if we're aware enough, we tap into the experience, and you ask the question, like a lot of last year, or even going forward, like, okay, why is this happening? Like, why? And if you like just put it out there, like, tap into the intuition, you're gonna get the answer somehow and some.
right. Yeah.
And I think once we ask the question why, then we don't get stuck in that moment too much.
And that's a good way out of it, I guess, is like, why is it happening? Not why me, like not that pity party that
Right.
you were talking about, but the why is like, what is the lesson? What am I supposed to learn?
Mhm.
The why of that. And that's what was one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, your book is a story, but it also has tools in it.
Yeah, and they're very basic tools that they're basic, like they're everyday human, things that we may do. Either it's just tools I had to learn by myself because I wasn't parented. Like, you know, do you think say thank you to people and really mean it and look at them in the eye, give somebody a compliment. Don't take yourself so serious, or just little random things. Agree to disagree. Learn to have a conversation, and you don't have to be right. Nobody's right. Like just basic stuff that I had to learn just by the school of life.
Right.
But even, I mean, they still help me, write thank you notes, yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean, it's true. I was thinking, you said it one in two different ways. It is true. You don't have to always be right. Right? So many people get into so much conflict because they're like, I need to tell them that I'm right.
right. Yeah. You may need to say your piece, and you may to say your feelings, but do we really need to be right? I mean, then we go to the next battle that needs to be.
Well, and then I say, well, what's right?
Yeah.
You know,
Right. True. Yeah.
yeah, you're right isn't their right. And everybody's got a whole different perspective. I just know, like, I grew up, I have three siblings, and we all grew up in the same house, but we all have a different idea of what it was like. so,
Yeah,
so,
that's so interesting. My ex-husband was one of four men, and they all had a very different experience from what I heard of their own childhood, which, it was the same house, same
yeah.
parents. Yeah.
Wow, four boys. Man, his mom must have had quite a time.
Well, yeah, yeah, she was definitely ruled the house.
Yeah. Your book, do you do talks with your book, or do you offer people workshops or
I
guidance?
had a workshop, and I took it down because I'm going to clean it up and enhance it. And just now, that was the beginning when, we were able to do this stuff. So it was I want to just clean it up and make it look a little
Yeah.
nicer. And it was just a very simple workshop about the tools, slow down and eat your food, taste it, relish in it, or, move. You just uh, find your movement, in different movements, something to so your body sort of, detoxes and moves emotions and energy. Find your thing. Sometimes you may need a yoga, sometimes you need to run, sometimes you may need weights, sometimes you may need whatever it is, like, but find your different, it's just about finding your different tools for various areas of our lives,
And people do gravitate to, will feel better with different things on different days at different times. And
Mhm.
I've been teaching yoga now for 19 years.
Yeah, wow, I read that, that's impressive.
And when people ask me, what kind of yoga should I do? I say, do the one that you'll do. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and even my own. on different days, I need something different. And some days I go to the gym and I go on the elliptical because that's what I want that day.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So it is so true. But and be gentle and kind with yourself that
Oh God,
maybe at the beginning, if you haven't done
yeah.
it,
So
if,
I went to right before COVID, talking about compassion
mm-hmm,
and kindness to oneself. Right before COVID, I started doing this practice called EMDR. You
mm,
probably, yeah, with a psychotherapist, wonderful gal, Bianca, and she in the process, she taught me it was another exercise to grab a photo of me as a little child. Sorry, the trash bins are being picked up.
that's okay. It's real life.
To kind of get a couple of photos of me as a little girl, and then just place them throughout the house and just look at her every so often with compassion and with love, and say I'm sorry for whatever it is that I felt I was shortchanged on, and that from there on I've grown a lot more compassion for myself and others as well. It helps. But yeah, it's compassion. The moment even just putting your hand on your back, or even just I touch earth, it's like find your tools, whatever's going to bring your
Right.
heart down.
Do you remember what EMDR stands for?
Uh Emotional, isn't it? No, EMDR, desensitization. The
Just
EM.
for people who haven't heard of it.
So EMDR, let's see here. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Oh,
And yeah, so it's a
so it
therapy.
has a
Uh-huh.
it has an eye movement component.
Yeah, yes, yes. There's kind of like this pendulum thing that does.
Okay.
Um, COVID happened and we tried to do it online and it doesn't work. Like it really works best one on one.
Right.
So I would it's become quite a thing. And if you stick to it, I hated it because it was aggravating and it was frustrating because you got to just stay with it and then kind of go back, and then you start remembering things that were just stuck in your subconscious. You're like, oh my god, I remember when it was little, I was crossing the street, just almost going to be hit by a train or whatever
Right.
it was. Yeah,
Wow.
and like uncles or families that you didn't even remember back then. It starts sort of reprocessing things, so then you can understand. You know,
Right. From a distance perspective and also a more maturity, I guess. I mean, when you're that young, you don't know what all that means.
yep, yeah, you
You
don't.
can just take from it. I guess it's kind of like you don't know what to do with it. It's like raw
Right,
almost.
right.
And it's you don't know what it's going to turn into. And with perspective, you can think like I know I've looked back on stuff in my life and gone, "Oh, well this is what I thought then, but now I realize this is actually what was happening."
Yeah,
And yeah, EMDR, I have heard of it. I have not done it. It's interesting to find out that you had such good success with it. And the one of the people that I talked to sometime last year or the year before does it as well. But we didn't talk about it as much. We were talking about other things. But I
yeah.
was going to say compassion. So, as quite often I find that people can be very compassionate with others. It's hardest for them to be compassionate with themselves,
It is. It is. Yeah, it
right?
is. But we have to practice in like anything.
And I
Just
wonder sometimes if that's because they, internally you have this idea of what you should and how you should, and you're comparing yourself to some impossibility that you consider you should be instead of being your awesome self,
it could be imposter syndrome. It could
right?
be, just we're so hard on ourselves. And it's just important to just take a break. And one of my tools that I would say is like, learn to be your own cheerleader. Like for the smallest, tiniest little things, like I did laundry too. That was a great workout. Like, hey, I did it. Like cheer yourself. Like our own self cheering is really what matters the most. It really doesn't matter. Well, it feels good that others, cheer for us, and they go, "Hey, yeah, well done." Like it really ultimately has to be coming from self. If we don't have that self fulfillment, then the other stuff is not only temporary, but um, it's not fulfilling.
Well, and yeah, if all of your praise has to come from outside, then you're always trying to search for it, search for it, search
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Where if it's from the internal, which is where it's best to come from. I was going to say should, but should's not the right word. It's best to come from yourself, right? If
yeah,
you can be recognize that you are awesome and that you give yourself credit for that. And like you said, like as you started to find it more, you found you were even more compassionate with others.
yeah, yeah. And then I lose my marbles when I'm going. I mean, we get caught off guard. You get divorced, or a friend, does you wrong, or whatever. You don't get the deal, the client, or whatever, and you're not aware enough. You can lose your marbles. So we're human, like in that, and that's just being compassionate with the ebbs and flows. you know what I've learned is when I have lost my marbles is and I've wronged somebody, or I misspoke, or it was not the kindest, I am very good about apologizing, and
Right.
to go like and grab them by the hand and in the arm. I said, I'm so sorry, like that was just out of character. I was having it, that whatever, just fess up to it, and that feels so good. And there's like so much greatness comes out of that too.
And I think that's something that I have noticed missing lately. Like I don't know when it started and I don't know when I noticed it, but because people like you, people lose their marbles. Like
Yeah,
it's part of being human is stuff's going to happen to you.
yeah.
But taking responsibility for it, I think, has become something that's not normal.
Well, I hope it comes back around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to start a cheerleading for take responsibility for your actions.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Be,
it's it's impossible to be perfect, and we're going to mess up. So it just acknowledge when we mess up, don't get too down on ourselves, and then just apologize to self for having done that thing, or to the person. We don't need to be right.
yeah. Well, I mean, and as we were saying earlier, you can't really.
Yeah.
It's all relative. That's amazing. So I know you have had such an interesting journey, and it's come like people might look at it and think, "Oh, how terrible." But I kind of look at it and go, "Why? I guess it wasn't what I would have wanted to come through, but I think what you've taken from it is amazing." And the stories that you share and the book and trying to help people, I mean, that that is outstanding. I
Oh,
think that's awesome.
thanks.
Thank
Thanks. Yeah,
you.
we'll do the best we can.
Yeah. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go and check out your book, of course, because and the
Yeah.
links are in the show notes. But
Yeah.
before we go, I always ask my guests if they have a final word of wisdom for the audience.
Ah, just to continue trying to do better, just to continue to just try and grow. And if it wasn't, you didn't feel like we did, you know, that was not, we can always do better, right? But just don't be so hard on oneself. Just keep moving, keep plowing along. You mess up one little thing, one big thing, do better the next time. Just do better, do good, keep rising, keep rising.
Keep rising.
Yeah, and don't stop growing. With the moment I said I'm in the business of growth, in the moment I stop growing, I think that'll be so boring, you know.
Well, and the moment you stop growing is when you start declining, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, keep learning, keep being curious, ask questions, learn from people, share your story. Because I changed my story. That's the reason why I wrote the book, by reading other people's stories,
okay.
and reading biographies and memoirs. the Annie Frank Diaries and the Miracle Worker, the movie. That
Yep.
was so impactful for me because I'm like, if they went through that hardship, I mean, that I have no excuse.
Right. Yeah. It is interesting. I did read Viktor Frankl as well. It's like, if,
Oh, I have not.
right? Oh,
Yeah,
you should check it. Yeah. Because that's one of those like, oh my gosh. And he still chooses love. And it's like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Oh,
Then,
the other one, my daughter read it. Oh, another one, a Holocaust survivor. Oh, he's just beautiful. What he's come out of it and now given to, like, there are several, but yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep choosing magic, really, isn't it?
Guys, have fun. Like, have fun every day. A little something, laugh every day. Yeah, like, kind of. There's nothing better than just good laughter. Just let it out. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Karina,
Thank you,
for
Heather. I'm
spending
so
some time.
glad we finally connected since October.
I know. You know, we just keep on keeping on. That's what we do.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, my friend out in podcast land. If you have questions, obviously send them on over. There's contact information for Karina in the show notes, and you know where to find me. And just keep choosing magic, my friend. Take care. We'll see you next time. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.